Hello, my name is Terry. This video will cover our investigation of the Hall of Waters, which occurred on May 18th, 2019. I have two versions of the following footage. A completely unedited version, which runs 24 minutes in length. You can see the link below to access this unedited version. Or in this version, what I did is I picked out the highlights from this 24-minute segment. A very interesting activity where the group of women were conducting an extended 24-minute long EVP session. The first clip captured was just moments after I'd set up the camera and turned it on. A voice can be heard saying, "Steam person." This might be one of the entities referring to either a staff member or one of the doctors on staff. None of us heard this, and I was standing by the camera when this happened, and I did not hear it. This has to be an EVP. A disembodied voice would have been heard by everyone in the room.
And I'll just leave it parked up there.
Using a videotape all out of it. You guys are going on that.
And if we get something, I will send copies of whatever I get. Everyone will get a copy.
Awesome.
And why, like, 3 things down
In the second clip, people are commenting that they're experiencing weird feelings. I've documented this myself and experienced it. Most of the time it seems to be some sort of electrical field that you can just feel in the air, and I've managed to measure it with equipment when it's going on. The next thing that occurred was a loud thud sound, which nobody apparently commented on or heard themselves. Moments later, a series of knocking sounds can be heard. This was very loud, and it was heard by 3 separate groups of people inside the sauna room.
Itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again. She likes that song. I'm getting goosebumps all over my legs right now. It feels really weird. Itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again.
Who was that?
Was that one of you guys?
No.
Not us either.
Itsy bitsy spider went up the spout. Itsy bitsy spider went up the spout. Itsy bitsy spider went up the spout.
In this clip, one of the women states that they felt the vibration of the knocking that had just occurred. Apparently, she was sitting so close to the steam sauna that she could feel the shaking of it when it was knocking on it. They also comment that they felt the hair on the back of their neck standing up. This is also typical when activity is going on, that side effects of being touched or cobwebby feelings and things like that are going on during moments of peak activity.
It sounded like somebody knocking on the tire. I felt like really vibration. And it sounded like somebody knocking on the it came from, this area, like right there. I made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
In the next clip, the one woman in the middle is going to be physically touched by one of these entities. Whatever that's doing it doesn't show itself while it's doing this. Apparently they have the capability to remain completely invisible while performing physical acts of touching people.
Are you touching Savannah? Whisper yes. Separate for now. Emily, if you're trying to play with me, stop it. I told you. Mine hasn't moved that entire time until I asked if it was touching Savannah. Oh my gosh.
One woman tries an experiment of trying to duplicate the sound of the knocking. This was a very intelligent move on her part, and I listened to all the different versions from different objects that they tried knocking on, and by far the closest to what sound was in the original clip is when she knocks on the electric sauna, which is light bulb powered for heat. It's the closest match to anything that they got, and tied with the fact that they felt it shake when the original knocking occurred, a series of rappings, means that this was probably the object.
Okay, so
This thing happened, I was asking.
no, it was different.
This girl has a very years ago.
I don't know. I'll have to listen to it.
Are you touching me right now?
That's the
See Spider-Man up this.
Another EVP was captured, this one saying, "Hope again." No one responded to this, so it's not a disembodied voice. It was an EVP, only heard on the playback and retrieval of the video from the camera.
fell out of the pocket, so it's all good. Sorry about that.
Emily, are you still here with us?
This is a very interesting clip in that the sound of water dripping can be heard. The water hasn't been turned on in this room for years, so this must be something from the past creeping into the present time, replicating these sounds. In the following clip, there's an EVP saying, "Help me," but notice how it's done in a very long, drawn-out way in the way it's said.
Will you sing with us, Emily? Okay, so she's not the only one down here, is what she's trying to say. Okay, so she's. Okay, so she's. Okay, so she's
The
not.
next clip was captured down in the tunnel. What's interesting, it's only a 20-second long clip, and yet it contains 3 separate EVPs of entities talking to each other. And if you listen to the background, you'll hear the running water from all the recent rains moving inside the basement. I think somehow that these entities are able to take sounds of running water and manipulate them into voices. And by having this present, it was able to actually produce a full voice of 3 entities communicating with each other. And if you listen to what they're saying, it's very interesting. I did not hear this, and I was walking away from the camera after I had just set it up. Note the EMF meter in the man's hands. You can see the lights going off, detecting a power field. The following clip was recorded in the water bar area. An EVP voice can be heard saying, "Help Phoebe." The next clip is very interesting. I was standing next to the camera with one other investigator when we heard this loud sound. Neither of us were responsible for this sound, and it was very close by, but we couldn't tell you where it came from and what was triggering it. Nothing fell over, nothing moved, but yet this loud sound was triggered. Then Ken asked the question, "Is anybody there?" And through the PSB-7 Ghost Box, a voice replies, "Yes."
I didn't do that. Wow. It's amazing. Over here.
All of the following clips from the bar area have voices which came from a PSB-7 Ghost Box, like this one. It sweeps through FM radio frequencies at high rates of speed. Some people criticize these because some voices from radio stations can creep through. The problem, though, is if you listen carefully, some of these contain obscene language which isn't allowed by the radio stations. So clearly the source of it is not the radio stations that's producing some of these voices. It's entities using the sounds from the background to produce their own voices and communicate. I've noticed that sometimes sounds can be manipulated into producing voices. In this one, a series of odd sounds apparently is being manipulated into saying the name Rashina. It's saying this name, but it's also clearly a group of sounds in the background that are actually what are producing this voice. The next two EVPs were captured down in the tunnel in the sub-basement. The first one says, "Hi," and then the second one says, "Vera." The next clip was the only visual evidence that I captured during the investigation. It was recorded in the coal chute room. This area was cordoned off so that the general public of the tour wasn't able to go down there because of the rising water levels, which was initially just about half an inch at the beginning of the night, but I had to wade into a 4-inch deep water to retrieve the camera by the end of the evening. When I went out to retrieve the camera, I had looked at the video and noticed that there was nothing in any of the clips on the auto trigger mechanism mode. But when I picked up the camera, that had triggered the camera to turn itself on. While I was holding the camera, what can be seen best described is a long, thin, white skeletal arm waving in front of the camera. It moves very quickly, but is very clearly seen. I have 3 slow motion versions of this clip, and if you look carefully, I've got the camera pointing up toward the ceiling where you can see the pipes. Some of this skeletal arm is so dense that it actually is obstructing your view of the pipes in the ceiling. This is a very interesting catch and a solid one, but it was only by coincidence that I seem to have caught it.
If I can do this too.